Hi, this is Trish Kendall with the Trish Kendall Speaks episode. What are you an expert in? Doesn't have to be the expert. You're an expert. The type of expert where you don't need to cite other people's work. You don't need to reference theories, academic articles, basically what other people's work. You can and you do in order to whatever, fill in the blank, help support your experience or your expertise, help to bring something to life for somebody else, for them to understand, or, maybe to help somebody think about something, but you don't have to. And I'm exploring this right now, and I know what I am an expert in, the type of expert that I don't need to cite other people's work. I can rely on my own expertise in order to give an opinion, give a recommendation, work with a client, coach an individual. But what got me thinking about this is my husband, Joe, he loves Steven Pinker. So Steven Pinker is cognitive psychologist. Most people probably know him. He writes on evolutionary biology. So hold on, some of his books. Okay. The Better Angels of Our Nature, Everybody Lies, Enlightenment Now, I think is probably one of his most, or How the Mind Works, I think is his most popular, and then Enlightenment Now. Well, Joe, when we were dating, literally wooed me. He serenaded me with Steven Pinker and evolutionary biology. So it's been kind of a joke because it's always been in our relationship and our marriage. And he just got into Steven Pinker again and just like reading a ton of his stuff again. And so we'll be sitting down for coffee in the morning and I will be reading, hold on. I will be reading this, my little smut, and he will be rereading How the Mind Works. So just put that as perspective. He was telling me the other day that he listened to a Joe Rogan podcast. He doesn't follow Joe Rogan, but he listened to the podcast because Steven Pinker was the guest on Joe Rogan's podcast. And, his podcasts are usually 2.5, 3.5, 4 hours long. And Joe's observation was just how Joe Rogan knew so much about evolutionary biology, knew so much, but everything he said was citing other people's work. Of course, Steven Pinker's work. He was citing things that he learned and read from other people who know that, evolutionary biology and are experts in that. Where Steven Pinker, because he is an expert, he might be really the expert in evolutionary biology, cognitive psychology. Steven Pinker doesn't cite other people, or maybe that's not obvious. He could cite other people, but it's not that he never, of course, had to go into his catalog of resources and sources to expand on a concept or keep the conversation going. He only tapped into his belief, his experience, his knowledge that is just right there and sitting with him in the core of who he is and his expertise. And now, that's just, there is a difference. There's a difference from maybe influencing a point based on other people's work and or helping somebody think through something and influencing their thinking and action based on your work and your just work experience, expertise, conviction. So it made me start thinking, what are you an expert at? Could be teaching, could be fishing, could be plumbing, could be, for me, I am an expert at giving and receiving love, the verb. Like that is my expertise. I don't need to cite other people's work. I can, and I do tap into work that has been done in studies and behavioral studies, and psychology and all of that stuff. because I'm interested in it. And sometimes it helps me move a point forward, but I don't need to. I'm an expert in giving and receiving love. I'm also an expert in making choices that are in our control. Why do we make them? Why do we not make them? What gets in the way? What happens when we do and we have to course correct? But my expertise comes from my lived experience and my practice in giving and receiving love, and my practice in making deliberate, purposeful choices. So what is your expertise? What are you an expert at? And share it with me. Thanks for being along this journey. Choose and become.